is like, don't pursue perfection. It is like to be perfect, to sound perfect, to look perfect. Like it's a false pursuit, and it's
Hmm.
always going to let you down because the goalpost is always moving. I think excellence, like how can I, through this experience, discover and refine through more excellence,
Hmm.
uh, and um, and I think that's definitely the way forward. That's like the fool's way forward.
Hmm.
And I'd rather be the fool than the intelligent man, but I'll use my intelligence to be foolish.
So,
Maybe,
welcome to
maybe.
this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with my special guest, who I freaking met on a LinkedIn Live with April and a couple other people, and I just had to reach out. So, people are like, okay, who's Will? Because Will's name is right there. Will Schneider, Ambassador of Compassion from Stanford University. And it's so funny when you were telling me this, and I'll just share with people out myself. I'm like, he can't be saying Stanford because that's West Coast. And Will is, the last thing was a resident of New York. Co-host, which I freaking love too, is Men Talking. Is it Mindfulness podcast? Men
Men
Talking
Talking
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness podcast. Yep.
And I I'm so excited about that. And here's why is because I think there's a lot of guys that go into this tough guy thing that I'm not going to connect into, feelers, if you will.
Mm.
And it's important to start breaking that crap down so that they are that you guys are okay with it. I know women are more, into that and it's okay. So I got super excited about that when you were on when April did a LinkedIn Live.
Mm.
So welcome to Conversation, sir. I know you have a quote to kick us off with.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this opportunity. Always great to teach and spread the word, and it's really been an honor or to be here, but also like to serve within the podcast. Like it's really been great. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And all right, so we're gonna go into a quote that I've used before as like speaking gigs. It's really had a profound impact on my life when I first read it, and it's from Dostoevsky from Notes from Underground, and he says and this is a character in the book is called the Underground Man, and the Underground Man is this. This is his. Towards the end of his life, he has this realization, and he realizes I cannot become anything, neither good nor bad, neither a scoundrel nor an honest man, neither a hero nor an insect. And now I am eking out my days in my corner, taunting myself with the bitter and entirely useless consolation that an intelligent man cannot seriously become anything, that only a fool can become something. And I was like, whoa, right? What's this intellectual man versus the fool? What am I kind of missing here? And you want to ask questions? You want me to just dive right in, speak a
Well,
little more?
I want
Yeah,
to hear. I was wait. I didn't want to interrupt
yeah,
because my brain goes 50 zillion directions when you say that.
yeah, yeah.
What does it mean to you? And I think that's part of my question to start out with.
Okay.
Because I do have thoughts.
I'm glad you do. That's good, Michelle. You have thinking, but sometimes that thinking, what really is what the underground man is doing, and he realizes like it's like analysis paralysis, right? Always overthinking, and therefore he's like questioning himself and kind of like lives in this like internal chaotic state in his mind. So like he talks. I think it's really interesting. He lives in this fence of nor. Couldn't be good nor bad. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it couldn't be, a hero nor an insect. I couldn't even imagine himself as an insect because, like, he might seem foolish or something like that. So he's always like waffling. Should I do this? Should I do that? And like living, in the would haves and should haves and could haves instead of taking action, having direct experience and learning. And actually, how do we gain knowledge? The only way we actually gain knowledge is through direct experience, right? And the experience doesn't matter
Through
whether it's
failure.
yeah,
Through failure.
through
Through
failure, but
failure.
yeah, through failure, right, and triumph. You can definitely triumph and be successful and learn from that. We learn a hell of a lot more from failure,
Hands
but
down.
of course we do, of course
Yeah.
we. I mean, but it's not even failure; it's feedback. It's like
The
that's
other F word.
yeah,
Yes.
and I like that F word. I mean, I like the other F word. That is not. Uh, but feedback is just it's what we need. Like if you
Mhm.
really want to explore your potential, you need to take a risk. You need to put
Mhm.
yourself out there. And what really helps us lead? Where does risk take place? Right? Where does courage come from? From the heart. Right? So it's
Mhm.
not from the mind. And we get
Mhm.
like so trapped in the mind for so many different reasons. But when we begin to like let go, it's like, hey, that's just thinking like that, and understand like the message from the underground man here, like the intelligent man cannot seriously become anything. That only a fool can become something. But what's the fool
Mhm.
do? You know, the fool is the one that like takes up the cause. The fool is the one that is willing to like take the risk and try something. The fool is the one that is like looking for results, right? Actually, like real results instead of just hypothesizing or theorizing or thinking all the time. Um,
Well, and I think that so it's interesting because the thing that came to mind when you were talking is
yeah,
that we have humans tend to have a fear of failure. And it gets reinforced or elevated or made to be more important because of society around us. And then this, what if someone sees it? What is someone going to think?
yeah,
And the thing
exactly.
is it's important. I strongly believe it's important to break out of that mold and be able to just say the stuff. It's like when we bounced off, when we first started here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to share with people how my brain went through and got, I it couldn't be Stanford. It's got to be something else because you're from, the East Coast and Stanford's on the West Coast.
Yeah,
I think that stuff's important, which
yeah.
is why, like with this podcast, I tell people I'll trim the front end of it where, we may be making noise before it starts, and the back end of it because I can't find the stop recording button, right? Fast enough. But we don't do the middle because I
Yeah.
think it's important to realize that we're humans in the human experience and we have stumbles, missteps, faux pas, whatever it may be, and we pick ourselves up and we learn from it, and that's okay.
Well, it should be the norm. It's not
Yes.
even about being okay. It should be the norm. It's the only way that we grow as human beings is through direct experience, is through
Hmm.
trying, is through, I mean, it's not even failure, just like trying and trying and doing and doing. And what happens when you keep showing up for a particular thing, you keep putting yourself out there, you keep like just trying. Like, I mean, my first few years of podcasts, I go back and I cringe. But like if I never started, I would never be 5 years down the road with having like a top 1.5% global podcast because like I've taken those steps and just trying and trying. And then what do? I refine, I get
Hmm.
better, I get better, I go back and I listen. I still cringe sometimes, but I'm just like refining, refining, refining. And it's like just like anything that you want to do, anything you want to be great at requires direct experience, but like honest self-reflection, but not beating yourself up, right?
Oh.
That's why the compassion part is key to direct
Mhm.
experience. So instead of saying, "Oh, I sounded so stupid," and it being about the external validation, it's being about everybody else. And if you're trying to live up to everyone else's expectations, like the goalpost is always moving, so you're never going to
You
be able to.
don't even know half the time, you don't even know those expectations, in all honesty.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
We make stuff up, and
Does
a lot of times when you look at it, people relate more to real because they can see themselves in that real.
right,
Yeah, we might aspire to be the curated reality, whatever, but
yeah.
that's not reality.
Right. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that, like what you said is very important too. It's like the authentic experience, like being truly yourself, right? This is a heart-led life. I think there's a big
Mhm.
difference, distinction between like the mind-led and I think it's the mind is always transactional, give and take. It's always like, deciphering, defining, just kind of separating things, which is
Mhm.
important. I mean, the mind and the heart, yeah, is part of the human experience. But if we're still always locked in our mind, then we're never going to get on the inside
Mhm.
and like for that internal validation, like the
Mhm.
implicit experience of things, and that's the only way we grow, the only way we learn. And from that intrinsic or implicit experience, right? In order to get there, there's a certain amount of like, fuck it, like I'm just gonna try it, which calls forth our authenticity, right? Which
Mhm.
is the highest ranking energy that you can possibly experience from another person.
Mhm.
So it's just like, so you have this like this frequency that goes out when you're just like, fuck it, I don't care, I'm just doing this. Like I'm just I'm here talking to you, right, in this way, because I've learned that the more that I just like I just listen to like the internal compass, right? And we
Yep.
have a goal here. We want to help people unlock. We want to help
Yep.
people like free themselves, and live a more holistic and loving life. And what happens when they do that? They feel better. People around them feel better. The results are
Mhm.
better. Their creativity goes up, right? Their relationships begin to change, right? They start to become, they begin to grow as a person. Their company grows, their family grows, the opportunities come forth. And it's all from, being authentic, forgetting about like what the crowd like and what everybody thinking and saying. Like I would be locked up. I mean, I wouldn't have left Scranton. I mean, I wouldn't have like if I was so worried about what everyone felt. And I see a lot of my family and a lot of my friends back home, they're still living with that like, oh, what would they think? What happens if I did that or said this? And it's just like, well, who cares?
Well, the thing, and the other part too is let people know is that no matter what you do, you're not going to appeal to everyone.
Why even
So
try?
you might as well
Yeah,
appeal to yourself,
exactly.
and then your people will find you.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly, exactly. I mean, again, that energy of authenticity, it's like what your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
Hmm.
Like, so you putting that vibe out there, and all of a sudden it's like, oh wow. One thing I've seen, like from like authenticity point of view, and from this like foolish perspective, if you will, is like I remember I teach I taught a lot of yoga here in the city pre-pandemic. Like the industry is decimated because of the pandemic,
Oh,
but
can't stand.
it's fine. It is what it is. But I learned by showing up like 8, 10 times a week teaching class. Like I'm teaching in front of like, and New York is no small place. So I have like 20, 30, 50, 60 people in my class. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And right. So it's like, and it's not like I'm performing. And performance is like, I hope they like me. Like, oh my God, did that sound right? Like, what does my outfit look like? No, no, no. I just show up and it's like, I'm here to serve. I'm here
Yeah.
to help them, understand this particular aspect of the practice, whether it's the
Hmm.
breathing or meditating or their body in some way, and using all the tools I have available to me from my direct experiences leading up to that point to help
Hmm.
them have a genuine experience with whatever I'm particularly teaching.
So
And
here's my
yeah,
question for you,
yeah,
right? Because you're freaking absolutely right. And my brain goes to that's you in front of the class. That is leadership, leaders who are like that, leading authentically.
mm,
And I get people all the time that go, I get in front of a room and I'm nervous, or people, I said, shift the focus. This is
thank
not
you.
about you. This is about the people in the room. And when
Yes,
you shift the focus like you did, so my hypothesis is, or my gut is you were not nervous in
yeah,
front of 20, 40, 50, whatever, however many people in that room,
yeah,
because you were there for them.
right, right,
And when we're in service to someone else that way, in that capacity, there are no nerves. I've been
right,
in front of, room of 150 people doing leadership development, senior leaders in an organization. I'm not nervous because it's not about me.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, attached to
That's
something more meaningful. Yeah.
yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
Powerful stuff.
I see that with a lot of young yoga teachers that come through. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to sound like this," or I'm afraid about this." I'm like, "Well, who's that about? That's
Hmm.
about you. It's like serve, serve." So I mean, the nerves are still there sometimes. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, okay, here we go. But it's like I use them to just empower me and move forward. Or even here's another moment, right? You step up. Anybody's listening, worried about being, stepping in front of like giving a PowerPoint. It's like sometimes I'll even mention it's like, oh, got to say I'm a little nervous because I'm really excited to present this to you all. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, one thing I've learned through the ambassador training, one key point of self-compassion and compassion is common humanity. And the idea of common humanity is like we're all doing the best we can. We're all
Hmm.
flawed human beings. We all have our own experiences, right? So why not like understand it's just like this is the human experience and like double, triple, quadruple and make that like a value, right? To
Hmm.
to live in that authenticity because you begin to unlock everyone else around you when you come with that level of authenticity and not that level of like foolishness, if you will.
Well, it's interesting you say that, right? Because it's like if you've been in the room with people and
Yeah.
that are nervous.
Yeah.
Are you surprised when they say I'm nervous? No.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you see it already. So it's like just
Yeah.
say it so that it's out there. It's no longer the elephant in the room. And then people are gonna go, oh my, and then odds are the response is, you're gonna be fine. You're
Yes.
gonna be fine. It's gonna
Yeah.
be okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like you're telling them something they don't already see. It's like people when they get their 360 back, or their leaders that are uncomfortable being vulnerable about that stuff. Hey, I'm working on XYZ. What do people think? They're going to think that you're actually self-aware because they've seen it for forever, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So I just, that kind of stuff is like, don't let that get in the way because your energy's showing up that way anyway. Just
Yeah.
call it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes practice and awareness. Like, because if you're, we're having this conversation like kind of higher level because we've unlocked enough that we realize the value of just really showing up, being honest,
Mhm.
being authentic, trying, not giving a shit, right? Where a lot of people are like, oh my God, that would mortify me. Like I want to crawl in a hole like the underground man,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, well, I mean, so it might be difficult to like step up in front of like a large group or but what if you make it smaller in some ways? Like
Hmm.
put yourself out there in other ways. Like, when I, prepare for like a big talk, it's like I'll have a little small audience, at my apartment. I'll just have a few friends over. Like, hey, I need to run this through. I need to kind of get it out of my body. I need to get it out of my mouth, and through my lips. And I just really need a little bit of an audience here. And just those
Yeah.
little run throughs, um, whatever it is, just really help me just to gain more confidence, ground myself into the reality of my humanity, and
Hmm.
just do the best I can. And when people are seeing that I'm doing the best I can, even though it might not be, as beautiful as someone else might speak it or speaker, but I'm trying. And
Hmm.
again, that common humanity, people experience that. It's like, well, at least that's an authentic human being. And now I can
Hmm.
be more authentic and just being here, maybe more relaxed instead of very
Hmm.
agitated or nervous.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's interesting you say that because one of the things too that's helpful because what you talked about is I'm going to get it out of here and or whatever you know place that I've kept this. People do PowerPoint slides, or maybe you're doing flip chart paper, or maybe you're just talking in front of people.
yeah,
We need to get to the point that where even if you just walked around, I tell people, I said, as you're getting ready in the morning, as you're cooking dinner, as you're cleaning, say it.
yeah,
Whatever this talk, just say it. Read it at first a few times and then drop the paper and
yeah,
just go say it to where literally it's natural. It's just coming out natural because a lot of it is, I think people get wound up because we're so programmed from school.
yeah,
We've got to memorize this report. We've got to get up in front of the room and we've got, it's like, okay, you don't have to memorize anything, but there's key points
yeah,
that you're going to want to hit. Speak it out loud. Get
yeah.
comfortable with it.
Yeah, yeah. Part of the that you I thought earlier, and you brought it up again. I'm glad you did. It's like part of the reason the intelligent man becomes such a part of our experience, man and woman. When I say man, I
Mhm.
mean everybody.
Yeah.
Is because that we're rewarded for our intelligence at a very young age. Like you think about, like, oh, they're so smart. They're or like they're so this. There's and it's just like, oh, I got. And even think of the way our sadly our educational system design. It's all like, I mean, it's changing because things are radically changing now, but it's all about memorization or just like, it's all intellectual exercises instead of like of just trying different things,
Hmm.
and letting that be being evaluated on our attempt. Whereas
Hmm.
like if oh, you're a bad student because you didn't get a grade, and then you begin to feel, experience yourself in a different way, and that's why you begin to get a little bit smaller, and you begin to diminish and eke yourself, taunting yourself in your corner. Whereas like, and then the opposite is true too. The people that are really smart and get A's, they go out there and are always looking for that. Oh, you're so smart. Oh, that is
Hmm.
genius. So they're always, again, and now they screw themselves because now looking for an external validation. So everything is all about like, am I not smart? Isn't that smart? Look how I look. Am I not smart? Even dress smart, try to sound smart. Whereas, and put themselves in situations with smart people, and it's always just they never get down to what really matters. It's here in the heart. It's all here in the
Yeah.
heart. So
It's interesting you say that because it's about you're chasing that next thing. And Sean Aker talks about in happiness advantage.
yeah,
When you do that and it's about external rewards, your brain never gets to the cognitive horizon. It never gets there
mm,
because it keeps moving the goalpost. So
right,
the same thing happened. People that I coach, it's like when you were talking faces of people I coach in situations that high achievers and are never satisfied. They're never I'm like, can you just look for a minute and see how far you've come? I mean, could your 18-year-old self do what you're doing right now? Well, no. And I'm like, celebrate that.
Yeah.
Celebrate that. But it's
Yeah.
like, it's never enough. And when we're never enough, you're like a hamster on the wheel. And it's like, so I'm going to run after it. It's going to feel good in this next promotion, the next thing, or not.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, just celebrate how far you come. I mean, I'm able here to sit with you, like you were talking about when you first started the podcast. And 4 years ago, this would not have been the case. I would not have reached out and said, "Hey, Will, do you want to get and we'll record and we'll talk about that?" That wouldn't have happened.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's that kind of evolution that we need to celebrate it and say, you know what? I can do what I do now because of what I went through and what I learned, and
Yeah.
well done me.
Yeah. Yeah. And then thank you for talking about the high achievers because that's a trap that I get locked into. What's next?
Hmm.
What's next? What's next? What's next? And but what I'm learning is like take a step back and like celebrate my wins for the month, for the
Hmm.
week. You know what I mean? Even if they're small wins, like, I got to the gym a bunch of times or, I made these phone calls or I completed this and it's like and it's like but that's like what's going to help bring us forward. Even
Hmm.
like from a more complete point of view instead of being like, oh, I'm failing because I haven't accomplished this yet. And it's not, and like, and it's like, you can't be like always chasing tomorrow. It's
Yep.
like, everything is in the here and now,
Hmm.
and it's just like the more that you could use this moment, right, if you don't have your passion or purpose, go out and find that because that's going to be your compass going forward. But if you're
Hmm.
on passion and purpose, right, then you can use this moment to move you forward, like very tactically. Like I move forward tactically as I can. I have like a mastermind I'm a part of. It's just like, what am I doing today? What am I doing this week? What am I doing this month? What's my 90-day looking like? And then,
Hmm.
and that's it's great to be in communion with other people to do that. But if you're also, this is part of the problem too that what comes up a lot in the podcast is people are not living on passion and on purpose. So they're
Hmm.
always so the only thing that they really have to chase, right, is the external, which is the raise, the bonus, the
Hmm.
promotion, right, which is all about, hey, look at me, didn't I do a great job in that presentation? Like, look at me, I'm staying here for 15 hours, I'm really just moving papers around, but I'm just trying to seem like I'm busy and I'm doing something because I love the company, right? And it's all transactional, right?
Hmm.
Whereas like when you're on purpose, right, and you're doing things, and where does purpose rest? Is in your heart. Passion, it's in your
Hmm.
heart, right?
Hmm.
Um, and the expression is completely different, and the work is very different too, because it's easier sometimes to go to work and just check a bunch of boxes, right?
Hmm.
And I check my boxes with like with my entrepreneurial life because it's of passion and purpose, um, but it's a different. There's a different like metric, if you will, like
Hmm.
living on passion and purpose instead of just punching the clock. And
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't mean
you
to
think
diminish like,
differently.
people that
No,
are like
no,
nine
but
to
I
five at
mean,
all, but like, there's a lot of like people that are part of problems. A lot of problems we have in society right now are because people are just trying to get a paycheck instead of trying to live on purpose. Big
well,
difference.
and there you can do both.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can,
So it's
absolutely.
it's
Yes.
like one
Thank
of
you.
those things of, and I think the important thing is people may go in and I'm just going to make stuff up right now because that's what I do sometimes, but I fully call myself out for it,
You're
right? So
being
I'm just gonna
authentic.
make this up.
Great.
Yeah, I'm just going to make it up. But it's one of those things is like maybe you're working a job that's not your ultimate career job. Maybe you don't love what you're doing. Maybe it is to put food on the table.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, when we ask ourselves, what in this that I'm doing that I actually enjoy doing?
Right.
What
Yes.
aspect of it is so that you can connect to something else? Because
Right.
otherwise, to your point earlier, we're going to look at all the crap as to why this is the worst place to spend X number of hours a day or a week.
Right.
But
Yeah.
if I go in and go, you know what? Yeah, it's not my dream job, but hey, I'm getting a paycheck, I'm putting food on the table. And
Yeah.
I actually like a lot of the people I work with.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
get to hang out with people, even though it's not my dream job. I get to hang out with people that I kind of like hanging out with.
Yeah.
What? Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Find that stuff
Yeah.
because otherwise we're always going, well, it's not that and it's not that. No, it's not. But what is it?
Yeah. Right. I mean,
Because
maybe. God, I'm
we
sorry. Yeah.
can connect. Yeah, we can connect to that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe my purpose is to help, my purpose in life is to help people. That's my purpose. And it just came out when someone asked me. And I know that's big, but the beauty of it is it can play out in a number of ways. And what happens in that space is I'm not narrating like, well, they're taking advantage of me, they're whatever. No, I can always connect back to am I helping? Is this helpful to you?
Mm.
Because if it is, I'm in it.
Right, right,
I'm there.
right,
So,
right.
and we can all do that. Whatever your purpose is, connect to that and figure out what you're doing in front of you. Maybe it's not the ultimate whatever, which, oh, by the way, there really isn't, but maybe it's
Yeah,
not the ultimate, but there's aspects of it that as long as we look, we will find something that connects to what I'm going to say fills my cup.
yeah, yeah. Well, one part of that feeling, and you bring up a really good point there. It's like connecting to other human beings,
Hmm.
right? Like instead of just connecting to, something. I mean, the external more of like, oh, I just want more money. And it's just like,
Hmm.
they've shown it's like, at a certain level of income, happiness, I think it's like $72,000, probably a little more now because of inflation.
Yeah.
But like, it's like probably about $82,000, $82,000 to $8 million, right? The level of happiness is marginally increases, marginally. Right, so it
Hmm.
doesn't even like, I mean, so it doesn't matter like the money so much. It's like how
Hmm.
you're filling your time,
Hmm.
with what you have. And if
Hmm.
you're out there connecting authentically with more people, like within your team, within your company, and really trying to help them and like staying on mission, staying on vision, you're going to be filled up from the inside
Hmm.
because like there's a certain, almost a need like that other people have because you're part of a team. And it's just
Hmm.
like, anytime you can connect to your own humanity as well as humanity of other people, right? That's what I mean. My experience is, and things I'm learning continually through the show, like you're really going to have a greater impact,
Hmm.
instead of just being, I keep coming back to the transactional because we're getting so, I feel so distorted by the
Hmm.
transactional. What can I get? How much money can I make? Like, like, that is just, I think it's a false metric, very much so.
Well, it is a measurement,
It
but
is, yes, yes.
if that is the only one that's at play right now, yeah, you're right. It's a hollow existence. I mean, it's like if you're chasing it, and the reality of it is, like we talked about, before, it's like, well, I'm nervous. Well, that's not news to anyone that was in the room with you, right? They saw it before you did. And it's the
Hmm.
same thing with people that are chasing the dollar,
Yeah.
right? That people around them, if that's truly your core focus, they know that.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
going to show up in the room that way. You're going to engage with people that way. It's all about you. People know that. And part of the coaching I've done with some of the people that have aspirations to rapidly move up the food chain, is part of that. I said, why are you in the room? Well, I've got to prove myself and I've got to, do you? Do you really? Because if you got
Hmm.
invited into the room, you've already earned the right to be in the room. So now
Hmm.
what do you need to learn? Because you're in the room with the people that you can learn from. But if
Hmm.
you go in focused on the fact that, well, I've got to look good or I've got to prove that I should be here, how are you going to show up? How are
Yeah.
you showing up?
Right. How do you present yourself? Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's a totally different shift. It's like, if you're in the room, you've earned there's a reason you're there. Just
Mm.
chill on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now figure out what can I learn?
Right. How can I help?
Because
How can I be
you
of
are not here
service?
to
Yeah.
impress people. You're here to absorb
Hmm.
what they have to teach you. Be
Right.
the sponge.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and a lot of times I find it's totally reversed. So I've got to demonstrate what I know. Do you? Because you've done something, which is why you got invited to that table in the first place.
Yeah. That's another great distinction with this too. It's like being a know-it-all.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and people like that, like, it's just like I feel bad for them because it's
Hmm.
all about like, oh, look how intelligent I am, look how intelligent I sound. Like it's, and they also like kind of hold their nose. They're not even listening. You know what I mean? Which is like, oh God, you talk about an easy way of like of expressing compassion or just adding value to another person just by simply listening to them. But a
Hmm.
know-it-all is always like, oh, they hold their nose up. It's like, oh, I know everything. This is stupid. Like blah blah blah. And that's literally this is the guy in Dostoevsky's Notes from Underground.
Yeah.
That's the underground man. Whereas like, being a learn it all,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just trying to absorb everything in your moment, but realizing, well, the only way I'm going to learn is through direct experience. So I need to take some sort of action, regardless how nervous I am or whatever. I'm not. It's just like, but on the other side of this experience, I'm going to learn something. We're all going to learn something,
Mm-hmm.
and I just happen to be the guinea pig right now that needs to put himself out there in order to create this experience for people.
Yeah.
And
No, I
it's beautiful
totally
when that
agree.
happens.
Yeah, I'm sitting here bobbleheading and grinning, and thank you for this time. Will, thank you for this time. It's pretty cool topic, and I want to, if you don't mind, leave the door open for some future thing to get back together because
I love
I
to.
enjoy the exploration
Yeah.
of topics that impact people that we all support. So, question for you: what are one or two things that you would love people to walk away with?
Um, that the fool is the way, and the
Mhm.
fool takes the risk, takes up the cause. He's the one that puts himself forward, regard and disregarding, the external validation of what people are going to think. And I think just keep trying, try, try,
Mhm.
try, try, try. And another thing that gets people locked up is like, don't pursue perfection. It is like to be perfect, to sound perfect, to look perfect. Like it's a false pursuit, and it's
Mhm.
always going to let you down because the goalpost is always moving. I think excellence, like how can I, through this experience, discover and refine through more excellence,
Mhm.
and I think that's definitely the way forward. That's like the fool's way forward.
Mhm.
And I'd rather be the fool than the intelligent man, but I'll use my intelligence to be more foolish. And maybe take more calculated foolishness, but
Love
you just got to go out and, here's what they give, just say, fuck it, jump in and go do it. And then report back to Michelle and I and let us know how it went. You know?
It's so funny. A couple things come to mind is the hashtag that I use all the time to get me through, to get me to doing things that I'm uncomfortable doing and haven't done before is face your fears and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so while you were talking, it's like it's a face your fears and do it anyway moment. So if you do come across, all the stuff that you just said, well, but if you do come up against that barrier, that wall, that resistance, check yourself. Face my fears. Woo, this is kind of scary. Okay, great. Acknowledge it and then go forward. And I'm not talking about being on the edge of a cliff or jumping out of a perfectly good airplane if for some reason you don't want to do it and someone talked you into that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. But it's about stepping into stuff that you're uncomfortable because on the other side of it is where you want to be, where the learning, the growing,
Yeah.
all the stuff is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, yeah, just
Thank
go
you.
for it.
Yeah.
Just
Well, I
go
mean,
for
Joseph Campbell says, and we end with this, it's like, he goes, where you struggle is where your treasure lies.
it.
So
Mm-hmm.
in those moments of fear, like those are your best teachers. Those are going to be your most transformative experiences in your life. Those are going to things you're going to remember when you really just dance with that fear, with that anxiety, with that stress, and because there's a great education within feeling that energy, being with it, and working with it, and moving through it and with it, and then see what the results are. I think that
Yeah.
results orientation is very critical part of this conversation. Like work
Mhm.
for results, and then, call someone like Michelle and be like, I want to talk about the results. Let's sift through them. Because you can find all these, like, there's gems and jewels in
Yeah.
those experiences, but it takes, sometimes like a coach like yourself, to take a step back and like, hey, let's learn what from this experience we had. And if you're not
Yeah.
giving yourself experiences, you're always going to take yourself back and eking yourself in your corner, taunting yourself with the bitter and entirely useless consolation that an intelligent man cannot seriously become anything. That only a fool can
Mic
become
drop. There's
something.
your mic drop moment. I love that.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Michelle. This has been, I really
Yeah,
appreciate this
it's
opportunity.
it's been a blast. So this is Leadership Sound Bites. Please like, share, subscribe. Until next time, from Will and Michelle, have a freaking awesome day. Thank you.